Tensions are escalating between the United States and Iran as fresh speculation over a possible interim nuclear deal is being firmly rejected by Tehran. Speaking in Tehran, Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Esmaeil Baghaei dismissed reports of any temporary agreement with Washington, saying such claims have no basis and should not be taken seriously.
Morning, Mr. Spokesman. Could you please elaborate on this written proposal that you are going to submit to the U.S. delegation in your next meeting? And could you also please tell us what will happen if the U.S. strikes, as it has been reported as a limited strike, as the U.S. President has mentioned it? Will you keep negotiating with the U.S., or you will leave the negotiating table?
Does it make sense? Does it make sense to continue negotiating when you are subjected to an egregious act of aggression? I think they are mutually exclusive. And with respect to your first question concerning the limited, I think there is no such thing as limited. An act of aggression is an act of aggression, period. And any state would react to an outright crime as part of its inherent right of self-defense for Russia.
While acknowledging that discussions and speculation around negotiations are natural, Baghaei made it clear that no conclusion should be drawn outside the negotiating room.
No negotiation whose aim is to force one side to unilaterally accept the demands of the other will ever lead to a fair outcome. And in any case, with regard to Iran, such an approach will certainly yield no results. At the same time, as I have repeatedly pointed out, the Islamic Republic of Iran is serious and remains determined in pursuing the diplomatic path forward, because we are confident in the legitimacy of our views, both logically and legally, as well as in terms of international commitments. Therefore, we continue to stand firm and unwavering, placing our complete trust and reliance upon and feeling completely confident in the solid foundation of our demands, both in the nuclear field and in the area of lifting sanctions. We will continue with this process for as long as we collectively believe it can lead us to a meaningful result.
Iran maintains that its demands, especially on sanctions relief and nuclear rights, are reasonable and grounded in legal and international frameworks. Officials say progress will only continue if both sides show goodwill and deliver tangible results. The remarks come amid heightened rhetoric from Washington. US President Donald Trump recently suggested that he is considering a potential military option if diplomacy collapses.
A little bit later on, we brought Jared in. Jared was responsible for the Abraham Accords, which is incredible. Nobody else could have done that. A very smart guy. And we're making Jared an envoy also, envoy of peace. They're both envoys of peace. And you couldn't get two. I tell you what, I watch these two guys. I say, at least we're covered from an IQ standpoint. These two guys walk into a room. And but people like them both, you know. They're good people. And they like them both. And they've had some very good meetings. They've had some very interesting meetings having to do with, as you know, Iran is a hot spot right now. And they're meeting, and they have a good relationship with the representatives of Iran. And, you know, good talks are being had. It's proven to be, over the years, not easy to make a meaningful deal with Iran. We have to make a meaningful deal. Otherwise, bad things happen. But we have to make a meaningful deal. But they have a great relationship with the representatives of Iran. They have a great relationship with the other one that they're really working on now. Because so many of these, I mean, as an example, Kosovo, Serbia. I did that one. Could you stand up, if any of you guys are, when you're here, just stand up for a second. Kosovo, Serbia. Stand up. What a job. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. And Israel, as you know, with you could say Israel and numerous countries if you want to really know the truth, but Israel and Iran, and we'll see where that goes. But when you think of Israel, we've done the biggest thing of all. We have peace in the Middle East right now. That's bigger than people said it couldn't be done. For 3,000 years, they've been talking about Middle East. They said it couldn't be done. And you look at what's happened in Gaza. And one of the keys to it was when we took those beautiful, magnificent, we just ordered 22 more of them, updated model. The B-2 bombers are incredible. I never understood the B-2 bomber. I'd watch, it's a wing. And I've never quite understood that, Johnny. I'd look at it, I'd say it was beautiful, but what does it do? It carries very big bombs. And it went into Iran, and it totally decimated the nuclear potential. And when it decimated that, all of a sudden we had peace in the Middle East, because there was a black cloud hanging over the Middle East, and if that wasn't done, that cloud would have been there. And countries like Saudi Arabia, countries like Qatar, countries like, nobody could have signed. You would have had that threat. You couldn't have had peace in the Middle East. So now we may have to take it a step further, or we may not. Maybe we're going to make a deal. You're going to be finding out over the next probably 10 days. And it's turned out not to be. And we do have some work to do with Iran. They can't have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. You can't have peace in the Middle East if they have a nuclear weapon. And they can't have a nuclear weapon. And they've been told that very strongly. Since the hard-won ceasefire of last October, the United States and our partners have facilitated the delivery of vast amounts of humanitarian aid, numbers that nobody's ever seen before. In November, the United Nations Security Council unanimously approved the Board of Peace. And last month in Davos, we welcomed over 24 members to this very important new organization. And we are very closely working with the United Nations. In fact, I'm going to speak to the Secretary General in a little while. He's a good man. And I've had a good relationship. Other than in my last speech, they did turn off my teleprompter. I got up there. My teleprompter didn't work. I'm sitting in front of all of you people and more. I had no teleprompter. I knew I was in trouble because I'm walking up. You know, the teleprompters are over here. I had the most beautiful speech ready. I was all set to knock them dead. First, I had an escalator that stopped. You know that. It's going up. Boom. It's lucky my movie star first lady was in front of me, because I put my hand on a certain part of her body, and I was able to stop my fall. Otherwise, because she had no trouble, I said, boy, that was a very sharp stop, Johnny. So I said, that was strange. I've been on a lot of escalators. It's never happened before. Usually it stops very slowly. This was just boom. But our first lady was right in the proper location for me. I'm waving to people, and she was holding on a little tighter. She knew what was happening. She did. She said, that's a very successful movie out right now, like #1. Can you believe this? And she's a big movie star. And I always say it's trouble, because I always say there's not room in one family for 2 stars. I told her that. We can't have 2 stars in one family. So I don't know what that means, but it's not good. But it is good because we're proud of her. She did people in the United States love the First Lady, and she did the movie, and it's become the biggest selling documentary in 20 years. Can you believe? The theaters are all packed. Women especially, they go back and they see it 2 or 3 times, 4 times.